Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. Today we're making braised beef short ribs, but we have a lot of prepping that we have to do ahead of time. You're going to need 4 carrots peeled, and from there we'll start getting everything prepped, so when we go to put the dish together it'll be an ABC. So peel your carrots. I don't think you have to see me peeling a carrot. Women used to use a knife and scrape their carrots. They didn't have peelers. So they would take, let me get a paring knife and show you. And this is how they used to do it. They would take the carrots and they would scrape it like this. That's literally how they do it. I'll show you that it can be done. So if you don't have that, you can do this. Just make sure you hold your knife at an angle like this. So when you go this way, you don't cut straight this way. So you turn it at an angle. They're not very smooth, but you can see that it does. Let me get a little more off so you can see better. So you can see our husbands watched us very carefully. And this is how they would peel their carrots, you see? Not very neat. But a carrot peeler isn't that so much nicer? Men watch their women. And to make their life easier, they thought of ways so it could be easier for them. So we think about what they've done for us. They've made our lives quite easy. We're also going to have to be trimming our meat as well. So we'll be talking and I'll be showing you that as well. Now this is how they want these carrots cut now. I am going to have to get a bowl to put them in. The small one should hold them for me. I tried cooking carrots without their, with their peelings on. I want you to know the peelings are really big. So I wasn't happy with that. Now, let's see. I missed this one. How did I miss that one? I don't know. Let's see. The meat's going to be a certain size. Okay. I know they want them approximated, but I'm doing it my way as usual. I pulled out the small cutting board to make my life easier today. I'm going to cut them in half. Cut them in half so you have quarters. Now when you come to a thick piece like this, you know they're not going to cook at the same time, so I'm going to cut this in 3s. or better known as thirds. Now this is real small, so if I cut it any more, it'll be too small, so I'll leave it cutting it in half the tails, see? So they're all closer to the same size. Because I'm not going to waste part of a carrot because it doesn't fit. Because the whole object is we're also being frugal in the kitchen to make sure we use, well, not frugal. Let's say we're making sure that we utilize everything that we have. Like yesterday, running around, I had a lot of lamb fat. So I chopped it up and I rendered it. Now it's a slightly different color, but it's lard. And I wasn't going to waste it. So if you buy a big cut of meat and you have it, I'll even show you the lard. It's lamb. This is my beef and this is my lamb. You see this one's a little different in color, just slightly. I didn't can it, I just stuck it in the refrigerator because I know I'm going to use it. So no reason to worry about it. Those are sweet. What do they want next? All right. You need 2 large onions in another bowl. Carrots to the side. You want 2 very large onions. I have 2 big ones. They want them thinly sliced. They didn't say rings, so I'm going to give them half moons. And when they say thin, they mean thin. Now, we're not cutting this off to hold them together. You understand that? The root end. They want them thinly sliced. Oh. That is really strong. Remember how I showed you to do the knife? Hold it like this. I know sometimes you catch me like that and I shouldn't do it. Make sure you have your fingers up here bent like this. So if you leave them like this, you can cut them. I've cut enough nails into food and have to dig it out. All right, these are your back pushers here, or at least stabilizers, I call them. No, I'm going to hold it by here. Oh, God. Well, I know these are fresh. My eyes are telling me that. I'll be crying in a bit. Now when you see an onion in one little corner starting to do this, you have to peel this whole layer off because it's turning into skin to protect it from the weather. If you leave it on, it won't break down. If you slice it, people will chew it and spit it out. And you don't want anybody to do that. And I've seen people do that at the table. That is the rudest thing you could ever do at a table, is to spit something out and go, bleh. It's horrible. If you don't like something and you have a napkin, put it in the net paper. They bring out paper napkins now, so it's real easy to put it into that. Before we hold it in our mouth and just go to the bathroom and get rid of it. You're too thick. As you can see, there's a lot that goes into cooking, much more than people. And they think it's just opening cans or something, but when you really cook, you can see that there is a lot of skills that actually go in here, and it's not something you're born with. These are skills you have to learn. If you don't learn them right, you're in problems. All right, get another bowl. I know, we're getting along with them. They want 6 garlics. Just 6 garlics. They don't tell you to chop them or anything. They say they just want 6 garlics. Five, 6. Every time I think the weather's getting warm, it gets chilly again. So then I set up, and then it's warm the week I set things up. So this week I decided I would make some salads and some heavy meals like this, just to cover myself because the weather's erratic. And you're going to learn a new skill today with the meats. Oh, this one had a little one to it. Let's see. Oh, that's a little one. Well, I had a few little ones tacked to the 6 that I got, so I'll go ahead and put them in it as well. I don't think they'll make much of a difference. Okay, put these aside. She had 3 bowls, an onion, a carrot, and garlic. Okay, we are done with this cutting board. I'm going to need a big cutting board. Now, let me put my vegetables in the freezer and I will be back. Do I have any bags with that? No, I don't. I've got another. These are all the peelings I'm collecting for stocks. Matter of fact, I'll be canning vegetable stock today. Cooked it and strained it because I had 2 bags. So I take all these peelings and I put them in here. I'm going to cook them down, can them. I don't have to buy vegetable stocks and stuff. If you want, you can just boil them down, strain them, and put them in a half-gallon jar and use it to cook with. Wherever they require water, boiling rice, pasta, or something. Like I told you, you can use these. Matter of fact, I took one from last week, and this is my vegetable stock. I had a little bit of bone broth, and I took it as well. And that's what I did with it. Now we'll wipe this up and we'll start taking care of this meat, and I'll show you how to do it. I just want to get a thicker cutting board. All right, you need about 3.5, 4 pounds of short ribs. I just picked mine up this week because this was supposed to be for the other week, but they didn't have them sold out. He says in the summer, short ribs go so fast. I said, okay. And I told him I was coming in. I said, you have 1 package left. It's mine. He said, okay. And look how nice they wrap them. tell you, when you have a good butcher, man, he helps you all the time. He might ask you what you're going to do with it because he's curious. You know, I share my recipes if they ask me. You know, it doesn't help me on my YouTube channel to, well, make money, but there's so many of you that, I'm finding out so many of you don't know how to cook. You need somebody to show you. Not shortcuts, but show you how to do it. Now look, the bone is here. Look at all that meat I get in it. You go to the store, they cut this much off and this is all you get. But this is a real short rib. So you can see the difference. You see how nice they wrap them? They really do. They wrap them in saran wrap, freezer wrap, subdivide it, they cut it for you. Only one bad thing is I gotta see where they start this thing. And that's the hardest part sometimes, trying to find the beginning of it. Now we're going to cut between these bones. I need my boner or my slicer. One or the other. Now see, I love the bones in my dishes because it's just so good. That's cutting right next to the bone. They want me to cut this valve. Yeah, they want you to cut this off the bone. All right. Now what we're going to do is cut this as fine as we can. Cut this bone off. Stay very, very close to your bone. That's what they want. What am I going to do with this? I'm going to freeze it, and I'm going to make bone broth out of it. I'll put it with the leg of lamb bone that I have. I'll show you. Why am I putting that in there? It's got to go here because it's going in the freezer. See, you're cutting right next to the bone as close as you can get. I hate cutting the bones off because the meat is so tender next to it, you know. There isn't much on that one. That's all fat. this one is really. This is the hip bone of the lamb. And I deboned those. That one I did. I'm going to add these, cook all these down. You see the meat on this? The little bit of meat? You'll also be getting bone broth with the minerals. You're also going to be getting protein. So instead of wasting this, let's put it to use. So there's no waste. Like when I did the leg of lamb, the fat was cooked down and I made lard into it, so there's no waste. See, we've become an extremely wasteful country. Extremely wasteful. This doesn't have much. Now you want me to peel this off? Now we're going to cut this fat off. And like they said, be extremely careful. Yeah. I don't want you to cut yourself. You could ask a butcher to do this if you don't want to do it, but you should learn. Listen, we're not perfect. You know what you can do with that. So most people say this is a wasted recipe, but look at all the good stuff you get out of the recipe. Oh, Bonnie's gonna love this today. Now I'll give this to the animals today, my neighbor's pets. I should say to her pets instead of animals, because every time I go to a party and she has salami and crackers, he sits right in front of me and he demands, I mean he really demands from me, that he is going to get 3 pieces before I get 1 bite. This is something he set up. And I can't believe it every time she has a picnic and she has that. He gets the cheese and the crackers, he gets 3 of them, and then I can take 1 bite, and then he gets 3, and then I get 1 bite. And I said, you know, I think I'm feeding you more than I'm feeding myself. I'm not going to tell you this is easy, but you might as well learn to do it. You'll need to someday. So see what we're cutting off is this. And you want this piece off. Oh, God. Doesn't gonna be much of this piece. There. Well, I've done pretty good so far. Do be careful. Well, let me finish and I'll be back. I'm sorry. Okay, they say to put a tablespoon of oil into a deep, big, large Dutch oven. Just a Dutch oven. And they want it over what kind of heat? We want you to put 1 tablespoon of oil in a large Dutch oven over medium-high heat. I'm using lard. As you would say, I'm changing the recipe, but of course, that's me. I'm going to do it. You know I'm going to do it. I'm prone to it. And you're going to salt and pepper the meat. I ground my peppercorns and I got salt in here. I'll just mix it up. And what you're going to do, I got my large because I'm going to need more. Remember, go high to get a better leveling of it. Turn it over and do it again. The whole thing is they want to make sure that you get the salt and pepper level. If you go low like this, you don't get the spread that you're looking for. Okay? That's the whole object of this whole thing. That's why they say go high. And if you don't believe it, think of feathers. You get a handful of feathers, you squeeze them together, and you drop them. They're not going to stay together. They're going to spread out. The same thing happens when you salt your meat or pepper it as seasoning, and they say go high for the salt and pepper because the salt is not going to stay straight. So if you go low like this, you're going to have chunks of salt. But when you pull it up and go high and go like this, you get more of a level. And that's the whole object. I also have you charging at the same time, so putting stuff behind you, around you. Let me get the fat over for the dogs. Another spot. I don't like how hot they want this, but it's what they want. What am I going to serve it? I would serve French bread with this, but I cannot because I don't have any. So I have to find something else to serve with it. Now they want this very hot, almost smoky. And we're only going to add half of it in. If it gets too hot and things start to burn, they say, oh, then turn the temperature down. Okay, but what we're doing is searing. Okay, it's smoky, so don't tell me I can't. See, I would like to keep the bones on, but I'm not wasting those bones. I'm going to sit there and utilize them completely. So when I saw the smoke coming up, I see it right here, telling me it's time to sear it. So we're going to have to wait for about 5 minutes. It'll be nice brown. Then we're going to turn them over and sear them again. Before you do the second batch, you add another tablespoon. They say of oil, but I'll be adding lard, and then I'll do the other half. So see, you really don't even have to buy your broth, because I'm going to use the veal bones with the beef and whatever other bones I can, and I'm going to cook those bones down. So when if I call for a stock, I sit there and I'll add bone broth with whatever vegetable stock I have and put it into the dish. Like I already have bone broth in that vegetable stock, so I know what I'll be getting. But then that way you don't waste. And the fat that I got off the leg of lamb, which is really thick, I made the lard yesterday. And the cracklings that I have left over, I have over there. I'll show them to you. And I have these, which I'm going to be putting into the salad. So we'll be getting the flavor of this to go into the salad as well. So those pieces you could sit there and use. You don't have to waste them. So there'll be no waste. Actually, the whole leg of lamb, there was no waste. I used the bones, I used the fat. Though it wasn't beef fat, it was lamb, I'm still going to use it. And then with the peelings of the vegetables, you don't have to worry about. Lemons and limes, you can peel off the skin and make your own zest once you dehydrate it. So there's not as much waste as there should be, because we waste a lot in this country. We really do. When I was growing up, everything could be fixed or repaired. Today, you can't. So you end up throwing everything out. I mean, my regular trash has more plastic in it, and I didn't do it. They put stuff in it, and that's what happens. I have to use it. We used to go to the butcher and he'd wrap it in brown paper. Now, if you put a big order in, he would cut it all up, wrap it in freezer wrap, tape it, label it, and how much it is, you know, by weight, and he would bring it to the house. And they don't do things like that anymore. But if you have a butcher, they will do it for you. I already asked them, can you get me rabbit? Can you get me duck? You know, I'm asking, can you get these things for me? Now, goose. Oh, the Godfather loves the goose. He said it makes some of the best pie crust. He said, Sandy, get a goose. I'll show you how to cook it. We'll have it for Christmas. We taught my husband and I how to do that. And I made a pie, and it was delicious. So I didn't grow up with instant food in the house. One person asked me, do you cook like this all the time? Yes. You want to eat? Yes. Now they want another tablespoon. If you have oil and you don't have lard, by all means go ahead and use the oil. But I'm using the lard that I made. It's got to melt first. And we'll put the last in, and then we'll get the rest going. But see how nice they braised? That's how you want them to look. Come on. All right. remember when Windex was a wax and you put it on your glass, you let it dry. Phew. Phew. And then you came with a clean rag and you wiped it down, and that was it. Now the Godfather said that during the Depression, the women tried to clean their house, they couldn't get Windex and stuff. But newspaper was something that they used. And they couldn't find matches and had wood-burning stoves or gas ones, and they couldn't get matches. But they always got the newspaper, so they take the paper, roll it up. I don't know how they did it, but anyway, they did it. But he sat there and told me they put newspaper, they put water on, and then he would sit there and take the newspaper as it was drying and wipe it down. And I saw him, and he cleaned the glass. He said, this is what we had to do during the Depression. But it was difficult. No, the paper was for the wood-burning stove. A lot of people had those things, you know. They couldn't afford it. Today, if something goes wrong, like my range top, it says 12 years old, and it's old, and I have to get another one because they're not going to redo the wiring on it. 12 years old? Wood-burning stoves over 200, and they still work. They say this equipment is better. If it's so much better, then why does it fall apart? And it wears out after a short time. Add your onions. Now we want to brown these onions, but we do not want to burn them. So if it's too hot and they're starting to overcook, add a tablespoon of water, they say, and that'll slow it down. Now the new cookbooks say brown, but if you have an old cookbook and they say caramelized, that's what it means. You're going to be browning them. And if you read an old cookbook that says caramelized, I'm having to learn the new terminology. And I would normally tell you to caramelize, but that's not what they use. So in case you do have new cookbooks, let me go through the new terms. But remember, old ones will always say saute till caramelized. And if you think of caramel candy, that's what you're trying to get to. That's why they use the term caramelized. Let's see if I can get you closer so you can see how they're caramelizing. See? See, we didn't have a cooking school, so anybody who was going to become a chef had to go to France to go to the culinary school. Now we have a culinary school here. It's very new, and they're trying to change all the terminologies around, but it's not going to help. So when they say saute, they're not talking about browning them, they're talking about just pre-cooking your vegetables. But if they sit there and say caramelize, it means you're going to brown them. It doesn't have to be a dark brown, but they're going to have to be brown. And you can see they are getting there. And for those of you, if you wish to know, did I hear from my girlfriend yet? No, I have not. I don't know what condition her mother is in, and I'm waiting for her to call me. I hope she calls me. If she doesn't, I'm going to have to give her a ring. Well, I'm going to wait for these like you, and I'll be back. Okay, the onions have caramelized. See how nice they turn to light brown? You're going to add a tablespoon of tomato paste. Stir it around. Just trying to get the last of it out of here. why my towels are all stained. Because I don't use them for looks. I put mine to work. They're going to work for me. All right, now you're going to add the garlic just like that. And you want them to become fragrant so you'll smell the smell of garlic, because then you'll know you've done it. You will smell almost like a spaghetti with the garlic. Then you're going to add 2 cups of wine. Turn it up on high. I have to pour the next cup. It's 2 cups of wine. I was shy 1/4 of the cup, so I sat there and added stock for the wine. I thought I had enough. I'll have to buy more red wine. Turn it up on high, and we're going to reduce this by half. Set your oven. Heat your oven up to 300 degrees. This is not going to fit. And then one more thing we're going to have to put it in the bottom third at 300. So we're reducing this now, and we have the oven going on at 300, and it's going to be in the lower part of the oven. That's why we're doing it in a Dutch oven. So this is going to be cooking a long time. You need 1 cup of beef broth, but I'm not using beef, I'm using what I have, which is bone broth with vegetables. So see, this is another way you can make short ribs. See how we're reducing this nicely? We're going to reduce this wine flavor until it's more concentrated. It'll be cooking into the meat and the vegetables. Okay, add your carrots. Bone broth. The bay leaf. They say 4 sprigs of thyme. Well, my thyme plant is not ready to harvest. It's not summer, it's sleeping, so I will add about, I guess, a tablespoon to cover for that. Now, any accumulated juices, pour in there. Yes, I know, all in there. No, I'm getting there. Okay, put the lid on, turn this off, and put it in the oven. Now they state that this is going to cook for about 2 to 2.5 hours, so there'll be a part 2 on this when we get to finish this up and get it going. All right, so I will see you then. You take care for now.